26, 27, ne, 28, 27, 25, broj 1. Hvala. FP, CP, ok. FP, M, DM, BM, ok. DP, CP, ok. FP, CP, dobro. Krećemo sa prstima. I 25. Palac. Jedan L. To je to. Neću previše stezati prste, ako treba vi ih dotegnite posle. Ovi za kasnije treba.
That's why we're everywhere talking about this. We love it. We love what we get. Will we maybe see a Deadpool 4? Oh God, no.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Deadpool and Wolverine just crossed $1 billion at the box office last week. As of me posting this video, Marvel started talking about their plans for some of the characters in the movie coming back in future projects. That's right, they are making them do this until they're 90. But Ryan Reynolds seemed very adamant, to make as many adamantium Wolverine jokes as possible, that he would not make Deadpool 4, like the next Deadpool solo movie. Given that Deadpool and Wolverine is doing so well right now, you'd think that Marvel would force him to keep making Deadpool movies, as he says during the movie. That was kind of the whole point of the joke in the movie.
Wolverine. You're damn straight it is. Disney brought him back. They're gonna make him do this till he's 90.
So a lot of people asking, what's the deal? Why did Ryan Reynolds go on national TV saying that he was not going to do Deadpool 4? So we'll break it all down. It gets to Marvel's larger plans for the Deadpool character, Ryan Reynolds' own personal plans behind the scenes as well. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman keep posting really cool behind the scenes. So like every couple of days, there's always something like really cool that they drop. I'm just waiting a couple more days before I do like another deleted scenes video. But since the movie came out, they've been sharing all kinds of moments with the characters, cool deleted scenes, a lot of stuff that just didn't make the final cut for many reasons, mostly because they wanted to keep the movie from turning into like a 6-hour, billion-dollar budget. But I would totally watch a 6-hour Deadpool movie. That would actually probably be pretty cool. The actual theatrical cut of the movie was mostly meant to be a Spider-Man No Way Home kind of story, but for the Fox Marvel characters, other pre-MCU Marvel characters like Blade, Elektra, the Thomas Jane Punisher, the other Punishers that came before John Bernthal. The way that Ryan Reynolds explained it after the movie came out, like he posted this picture of them back at Marvel's Comic-Con panel in 2015. This was Fox's Marvel panel during that era, if you don't remember. That's why the Fantastic Four reboot cast from 2015 is there with them. It was part of that larger, big panel that they did for all the Fox Marvel stuff. Ryan Reynolds was there because they also had the panel for the very first Deadpool movie, which was coming out in 2016, that next year. In the caption for his picture that he posted here, he said, "This isn't just Deadpool saying, oh, hello to the MCU, like gently tapping on the window of the MCU. It's Deadpool and Hugh, Sean and me saying farewell to a place in an era that literally made us. We are forever grateful to the fun, weird, uneven, and risky world of 20th Century Fox. It was our origin story, and we wouldn't trade it for anything." So he's also talking about his origin in quote-unquote Wolverine origins. Like, that's the joke there. Even though we clown on that movie all the time, like he himself clowns on that movie all the time, when people ask him about it now in present day, especially when Deadpool and Wolverine came out, people were clowning on the movie. He actually spoke out in its defense. Mostly because when he made that movie, like when he showed up as that version of Deadpool, he wasn't really a big leading man. Like he talked about how Hugh Jackman was so helpful to him when he came to set on that movie. Because if you don't remember, that movie was made basically at the peak of Hugh Jackman's popularity in pop culture. I mean, even though it seemed like he continued to get even more popular after that. But it was sort of like the zenith of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine in the early era of Wolverine. In the way that Ryan Reynolds talked about it, more so than, say, like Blade Trinity, because he was also in that movie before he was in Wolverine Origins. Origins was like a huge quantum leap for his career. So a big part of Deadpool and Wolverine wasn't just about making a Deadpool movie in the MCU proper. It was more about letting Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman, the other legacy actors, say goodbye to everything that came before the MCU. And reportedly, the real tea behind the scenes is that Ryan Reynolds did have to fight pretty hard to get the movie made the way he wanted to make it. Deadpool and Wolverine, that is. More specifically, I think he had to fight to keep the movie from being another glorified commercial for other upcoming MCU movies, and just let it be more of a self-contained Deadpool story with a lot of other Fox Marvel references to older movies. That was why he released that funny clip before the movie came out where he basically said all those things, like we're going to sidestep a lot of the traditional MCU tropes of those movies.
But we should set the table correctly. This film is paper thin as a sequel to Battlefield Earth. We're mostly going to beat show the senses, make enemies with Disney, tell a few dick jokes, make a few jokes at my expense, make a lot of jokes at Hugh's expense, and completely sidestep Marvel's mandated after-credit sequence, which is nothing bigger than that yet, is always just a commercial for another movie, which will invariably end with a commercial for another movie. So sit back, relax, let us lower your IQ and raise your heart rate while we travel to a vapid dreamland, a place where grown men and grown women walk around in tights and act like it's a giant cultural cry for help. This is cinema.
The funnier thing, I think a lot of people would assume it's the other way around, like Ryan Reynolds would be fighting to stay on as the character after Disney bought Fox and become a bigger part of the MCU going forward, but that's not really the case. Like, he was never worried about that. It was never really in question. Like, those Deadpool movies, pre-MCU, made so much money, of course Marvel would want Deadpool in their stuff eventually. The bigger fight that I think that he made behind the scenes was to just make sure that Deadpool stayed Deadpool and didn't turn into like the Disney-fied version of Deadpool. So he fought really hard behind the scenes to avoid Deadpool getting swallowed up by the MCU-ness of the more traditional Marvel movies. And I think he succeeded in doing that with Deadpool and Wolverine. Like, Ryan Reynolds said that they were just mostly tapping on the window of the MCU during the movie, and I think that's true. Like, you get the very specific MCU references and jokes at the beginning of the movie.
Then assume I'm going to marvel at how cinematic it is.
All those many Disney jokes, Kevin Feige jokes, the idea that Deadpool has watched the Loki series when they mentioned Alive for the first time, like he's actually watched the Loki DVDs. He goes to the main MCU 616 universe at the beginning of the movie before Avengers Infinity War, the triumph of the Avengers. But in the movie, he starts out and then at the end of the movie returns to the 10005 universe, which is canonically the X-Men First Class and now post Days of Future Past original Bryan Singer X-Men universe too. Like, they combine those universes. I know there's questions about the timeline with that post-credit scene. It makes it seem like he went back to the TVA to get the clip of Chris Evans' Johnny Storm before the end of the movie, but at the end of the movie, he's still back in that X-Men universe. So a lot of you then asking why, if he and Hugh Jackman got dump trucks of money for Deadpool and Wolverine, like everybody loving it for the most part, it seems like it was a huge success. Why would they not want to rush out and make Deadpool 4? Like, why not do it again? Normally, that's what Hollywood does. Like, the minute something makes money, they make a billion versions of that again. I think part of the reason is the difficulty that he went through in actually making the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. He made it sound like it took a huge toll on his personal life and his family, even though most of his family did star in the movie. If you didn't spot them, Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool, his daughter Inez Reynolds was Kidpool, his youngest Olin Reynolds even played the Baby Pool character. It just sounds like the movie took a toll on his body and his mind, and he just wants to take a break by just being a guest star as Deadpool in other larger movies. So if it wasn't clear, Marvel is making both him and Hugh Jackman do this until they're 90. There should be no question about that. Like, they're definitely coming back till the end of time. It's more a question of how much, where, and when they show up in the MCU. It takes a Herculean effort to make a full solo movie for your character. Like, it's way more trouble and way more money than for them to show up for a couple of days of filming, then leave with a trash bag of Marvel's cash.
There's nothing that'll bring me back to life faster than a big bag of Marvel cash.
Make no mistake, they did get some big bags of Marvel cash, and when they come back, even for cameo scenes, like for smaller roles in future movies, it will still be big bags of Marvel cash. But it just sounds like he is so bone tired behind the scenes that he wants a good long break before he tries to do something this big again with the Deadpool character. So do I think that they will eventually make Deadpool 4? Absolutely. There will for sure be another Deadpool movie, but it sounds like it's not going to happen till well after Avengers Secret Wars with all the Robert Downey Jr., Doctor Doom storyline stuff, and Marvel doing their little soft reboot on the entire MCU. Currently, that movie is scheduled to come out spring 2027. We'll see if that sticks. It sounds like it will if Marvel is making all these announcements so quickly back to back. And the Russo brothers are coming back to film both Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 back to back again, just like they made Infinity War and Endgame. So that would give Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman a good 3 years break where they don't really have to worry about anything. They could just show up in Secret Wars or Avengers 5 or even sooner as a cameo in some other movie if Marvel wants them to. And it's just like a long weekend for them with a big bag of Marvel cash. Right before Deadpool Deadpool and Wolverine came out in theaters and destroyed all these box office records. And before Marvel announced Robert Downey Jr. was coming back as Doctor Doom, their earlier pre-Kang plan, like when Kang was still a big thing at Marvel, was to wait for Deadpool and Hugh Jackman's Wolverine to come back until Secret Wars. They weren't supposed to be part of Avengers 5, but that was when it was still Kang Dynasty. That could have changed now, especially with the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, like this new Doctor Doom, Avengers 5 Doomsday plan. Marvel might want to rush them back out sooner, so we'll see about that. That movie is coming out in 2026. They have a couple years to figure that out. And if Ryan Reynolds just wants to cameo as Deadpool in other people's movies for like a good long while, I think some of the best places Marvel can use him right now with the stuff that they have announced so far, like there's a lot of unannounced movies after Secret Wars, would start with that X-Men reboot movie if we're talking about non-Avengers movies. Kevin Feige confirmed a long time ago that Marvel Phase 7, like everything after Secret Wars, is basically going to be the mutant saga of Marvel. So like we started with the Infinity Saga of movies, then we have the Multiverse Saga. Deadpool clowned on it really hard during Deadpool and Wolverine. After Secret Wars is done, we're basically moving into like a core X-Men mutant phase where most of the story revolves around those brand new characters, which I think is a smart move for Marvel. Deadpool is a core part of those mutant-based stories. Now, because that's all still so far out, Marvel hasn't announced a lot of other movies after Secret Wars. We just know that they're working on an X-Men reboot movie. So there's a lot of other big, more hardcore team-ups that I'd love to see Deadpool in. One of the other problems they run into, and this was a worry when they first announced that Disney was buying Fox, is that new X-Men reboot movie will definitely be PG-13. So anytime you put Deadpool in a PG-13 movie, it becomes more like the Once Upon a Deadpool kind of movie. You could do some of the Deadpool jokes, but like you really kind of have to water down a lot of his stuff. Kevin Feige did say the success of Deadpool and Wolverine, like a big rated R movie, meant that they would do more rated R movies, though. So hopefully we'll see more mutant-based rated R team-up movies. Those would be really easy places to put the Deadpool character. But for those of you worried that Ryan Reynolds is getting like too old to actually make these movies, he's not that old. He's much younger than Hugh Jackman, and this is Hugh Jackman behind the scenes on Deadpool and Wolverine. Like these abs are not CG. Hugh Jackman actually did this. The only problem is that it's way harder for him to do that kind of action personally, and he's done a lot of that behind the scenes. Like he does have stunt people doing some of the stunts for him, but he does a lot of it himself. And he said it has absolutely wrecked his body. Sort of the way that football players wreck their bodies even when they're really young, just because the sport is so hardcore and takes such a toll on them physically. So that's why I think we're going to see a bunch of Deadpool crossing over with other characters before we see Deadpool 4. Depending on how the next couple of years of Marvel goes, I think it'll probably be 2028 or beyond before Deadpool 4 actually happens. And I'd like to see them go back to doing smaller Deadpool movies. I think the character works a little bit better, especially in solo movies, when the movies themselves aren't quite as crazy and huge as like big Avengers movies. But after Secret Wars, they could just have Deadpool 4 take place in the proper MCU, so they could just reference a lot of other stuff that's going on at the time. But a big part of Deadpool's role inside the movies just in general is taking the piss out of Marvel just in general. I think this is one of the reasons why Deadpool and Wolverine work so well with a lot of the jokes right now, because it took a lot of the piss out of what's happening at Marvel behind the scenes. Like, it's been a rough time, like he tells Hugh Jackman in the movie, you're joining at kind of a low point. They revealed that was actually an ad-lib from Ryan Reynolds, like he just came up with that joke in the moment, too. So Deadpool is sort of like this tactical joke weapon that Marvel can deploy when he's most needed. Beyond Deadpool 4, who knows? Like, I mean, if they're going to make him do this until he's 90, at a certain point, Ryan Reynolds will probably just want to be doing cameos like Hugh Jackman showing up in other people's movies. At a certain point, it will be too hard for him to keep that diet, to keep the abs for the entire time. But for instance, Chris Hemsworth is now in talks to do Thor 5. Like, they're actually talking about doing Thor 5. So if they're giving Thor 5 movies, think about how many movies they would potentially give to the Deadpool character as long as they don't spend too much money making them. In fun fact, the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, as big as it is, was cheaper for them to make than it was for them to make the She-Hulk TV series. How crazy is that? I think that doing all those funny integrations and tie-in ads with other products also helped offset the budget for Deadpool and Wolverine way, way better. I think they just did a better job of offsetting the budget. But there's like 1,000 different amazing places you could put the Deadpool character. So everybody let me know in the comments, if they don't make Deadpool 4 until like 2028, 2029, like a long ways off, What other movies do you want to see Deadpool and Wolverine cross over into before that? There's not really a bad answer to that question. Like, he'd almost work in any movie, just depending on how you write the character. I just did a bunch of Marvel's D23 trailer videos. There's still, surprisingly, a bunch of D23 trailers that I have not made yet, so I'll try to finish all those videos by the end of the week. Everybody click here to learn about Ghost Rider and more deleted scenes and cameos in Deadpool and Wolverine, and click here for that brand new Ironheart trailer from D23. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Četiri. Super. Super. ovdje su kvalitetniji lemovi nego na broju 3. Nema potrebe za dolimljivanje. Bar se nadam. Ne bi trebalo. Kako ćemo tako? O Bože, bre. plastika. Koči se skupio zaboravio kako ide protiv. E poi za ovo. Sad idemo. IP. Kako ću povodak?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman, aka All Fairs. Now, leading up to San Diego Comic-Con Hall H, Kevin Feige had dropped a couple of direct quotes that probably should have warned us of Marvel Studios' change. And what we mean by that is he said they finally had a chance to just focus on the next couple of years at that presentation instead of doing the huge slate announcements like they used to. Now, obviously, they've learned from their mistakes because in the past, they've never been able to stick to the original release dates, and way too many projects has meant that some of them, like Blade, have had the can kicked down the road and for 5+ years. But it was still a little shocking to see that outside of the name and title change for Avengers 5, that film was already announced. In fact, they all were. They didn't fill in any of the brand new titles towards the end of the multiverse saga. And then in the following week, via Variety, would release their updated release date schedule. So we know there are films there. We just don't know what the titles are. There have been tons of rampant speculation about which films would be needed to sort of glue the end of the multiverse saga together. Some people speculating Doctor Strange 3, others Shang-Chi 2, and still there's rumors of a Thor 5. Plus, we know if they're still planning on making it, that Armor Wars is going to take one of those release dates. And although Marvel isn't responsible for a date for Spider-Man 4, you can be sure that's going to be coming out around the same time as well. But we may have just found out exactly what one of those titles are via a huge confirmation from a film that we can now upgrade from the rumor mill to confirmed happening, coming from none other than Simu Liu himself in his most recent interview, as reported by Newsbites. They go on to say, quote, Simu Liu, who played the titular role in Marvel's Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings, has confirmed that a sequel to the film is in the works. In an interview with PTI, Liu stated that while many details about the project are beyond his purview, he is certain that a sequel will be made. Fans have been anxious about the follow-up to the 2021 film due to the lack of updates from Marvel. Quick side note, I don't know that that's true. I mean, look, we had an idea that Eternals 2 may be scrapped, and Marvel Studios is definitely focusing on more important titles that serve bigger franchises like the Avengers film, but I think it was pretty clear with the success of Shang-Chi and just how good that movie was that that character was going to be back sometime in the future. And I don't think it was ever any question that this film was going to get made, only because we know Destin Daniel Cretton is still working very hard over at Marvel Studios to wrap up Wonder Man. He was originally going to direct Avengers 5, but when he left that project, we all assumed it was because he can't do Shang-Chi 2 and Avengers 5 at the same time, and he would prefer to continue the franchise trilogy that he started. The article goes on to say, quote, Liu, who made history as the first actor of Asian descent to lead a Marvel superhero film, assured fans that a sequel to Shang-Chi 2 is indeed on the cards. Quote, a lot of it is above my pay grade,
Zanimljivo
but it's
da
definitely happening.
su ovu ruku napravili da ima više prostora nego broj 3.
I really can't say anything beyond
Ne
that.
znam
Now, I saw some
kako,
people this morning
ali
already trying
su
to spin that line with the very excited to kind of work on
uspeli
it,
u
but that
tome.
means that he's already working on it, maybe knows the story or the script. I think that's just reading too much into it. He really can't say anything beyond that, probably because he doesn't know anything beyond that, probably because they haven't started developing the script, or at the very least, if they have, and they know they're about to do a story, it's unlikely that they've made it that far in pre-development. And the only reason I say that is because the industry insiders we usually report on are on top of this, and there's been no word. I also think there's still a chance that this film is in pre-development, but could come after the multiverse saga, but we'll talk about that in just a second. The article wraps up by saying, quote, when asked about his personal jackpot moment, Liu pointed to the opportunity to portray Shang-Chi as a pivotal point in his life and career. Quote, probably the main one thing I could think of is getting a call from Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige, and that I was going to play Shang-Chi. He describes this moment that not only changed his life, but also impacted his friends and
Ne,
family.
ne znam.
Now look, we know because
A
of the
snimam,
recent updates to the
snimam
slate
zato što radim nešto
Disney
ovo.
and Marvel released via Variety that there are two
Sad
in
ću da...
2026 around Avengers 5, one before it and one after it. It's probably also the year that Spider-Man 4 will come out. And we know that there's one film to be released before Avengers 6 in 2026. So that only leaves 3 titles in and around the end of the multiverse saga. And as I said, unless they're moving it or canceling it, Armor Wars may take the spot of one of those films, which only leaves 2. But for films that definitely have to focus on where and what the Avengers are doing and the teams are doing in the middle of what we suspect is probably going to be a pretty fractured multiverse and or battle world. This is possibly where we can start to find the answers to the forward-looking Easter egg that they gave us with the 10 rings themselves that we thought was going to get wrapped up in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, but really still haven't been tied to their own origin or how they relate to the Bengals of Miss Marvel, which I think that that's going into its own storyline with this ancient weaponry, why it was there, what it was left for. And if that's not something that's keyed into the end of the multiverse saga. That's why I briefly mentioned that I think there's a chance that this could be one of the films that's going to come out after the multiverse saga is done when we start into the mutant saga, because I think there is a connection there between Miss Marvel and Shang-Chi. And if you know about what Marvel has done now in the comics, Miss Marvel is a full-on mutant and tied to the X-Men team, which was super smart from Iman Vellani's standpoint, giving her a future of a lot of MCU projects in the mutant saga, but probably on purpose from the top down with Marvel Studios and their Marvel marketing, entertainment, and what they wanted to do with that character, tying her over. Still, if there's something to do with ancient weaponry and that's got a tie between the bands and the Ten Rings, which there's not a clear connection there. I'm just saying there may be reveals in the future that's meant for Shang-Chi to press forward, which means it doesn't have anything to do with the end of the multiverse saga. I will also admit, even though we've heard very little about it, I think that there is no way one of these titles isn't Doctor Strange 3. It's just done the most work during this multiverse saga of exploring key elements to the multiverse, where they left the film introducing Clea and then headed to the Dark Dimension. Look, at some point in the multiverse saga, we're going back to that moment, or at least what happened right after, because it's got something to do with the storyline. So it would be impossible for them to sort of skirt this for the rest of the multiverse saga. I don't think that was ever the plan. And like I've said, because there are so many limited dates that they can actually release films in between the two Avengers films that are coming in the next couple of years, I'm not sure Shang-Chi 2 gets to be one of those. But you guys let me know all your thoughts down below. Would you prefer Shang-Chi 2 or Doctor Strange 3 or Thor 5? We can't have them all. Which ones do you want to actually play a role? Which films would you rather see as we conclude the multiverse saga with Avengers Secret Wars? I'm all ears as always. Let me know down in the comments quickly. Let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. Alright, we're still giving away PlayStation 5s here at the channel. We're just going to continue to do that until the PlayStation 5 Pro or the 6 comes out. Who knows which one will be first. In the meantime, we just gave one away for Deadpool and Wolverine, and the next one is next month, only weeks away now at this point, for Agatha All Along. If you want to be entered to win, or for any of the other future giveaways, all the same rules will always apply. Hit the subscribe button because you need to be a subscriber. Then leave a comment down below, because it's truly random. The more videos you comment on, the better chance you have of winning. All winners will always be announced at the end of videos, live with my voice, and the winning comment shown on screen when there is one. So please be safe and vigilant on my channel, or really any channel on the platform. Remember that anybody can take another content creator's photo and claim to be them. No one will ever ask you to message them on the third-party app like Telegram or WhatsApp. And I promise you, no content creator, myself included, will ever charge you for shipping. If you should get a comment like that, just report it immediately to YouTube, and they will swiftly remove that account. Then you've done everybody on the platform a service, because it not only deletes that comment, but every comment they've left. The best way to keep up with the content has always been to hit the notification bell with all notifications turned on. And as always, if you like today's video, I'd appreciate it if you'd hit the like button. My name's Michael Roman. You can find me in a couple of places, Instagram and Twitter at @AdamFires. You can also find me on Spotify, YouTube, Amazon, Apple, iTunes, under the name All Fires. And while I sincerely appreciate you checking my music out, thanks for checking this channel out. Stick around. We'll be posting again real soon.
Zanimljivo koliko ima više prostora za žice ovdje nego u prethodnom. I daleko bolje zalemljeno. To je to. Samo se šrapimo i gotovo. Ubijme alergije. snimam, evo za minut dolazim. Zanimljivo. Identično, a više mjesta ima. To je to.